And another one of those underrated fights that we have right now is going to be contested by our next guest, who we're happy to have on the line right now, and that's Matt Horwich. He'll be fighting Danillo Villefort this Friday, Shark Fights 14 in Lubbock, Texas on HDNet. Matt, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing beautiful. Training for this fight's been flowing beautiful, and my conditioning and strength feels better than ever, and technique, so another beautiful day in the multiverse.
Absolutely. Now, Matt, we have to ask you, obviously your training going well. What are you looking forward to most with this fight with Villefort this Friday at Shark Fights?
I'm looking forward to competing for Shark Fights. It's a great organization, and it's good to be back on HDNet. Danillo Villefort's an excellent fighter and jiu-jitsuist. He's Nagira's godson, so it's an honor to fight him. And I'm readier than ever to have my best performance. And it's just another beautiful day flowing on the technique. One submission to the next, or one combo or takedown to the next, or one chord or note to the next in music, or one subatomic particle to the next in string theory.
Absolutely. Now, Matt, a lot of people didn't get to see your fight against Jake Rochalt a few months ago in November. Could you take us through that fight and how that fight went for you? Obviously, you coming up victorious in that one.
That fight was a really good fight. Jake Rochalt's a great fighter and a stud wrestler. I was really blessed that night, and he's beaten some of my old teammates, or at least one of my old teammates, Chris Levin. So I was thankful it went good. I got beat up the first round pulling guard and going for an ankle lock, getting punched. But I was covering the punches pretty good, staying alert. And I knew he was getting tired, and I told my corner after the round, yeah, I know I lost that round, but I'm okay and feeling good for the next ones. So the next round, he was tired, and I was blessed to stand it up, defend the low single, get to his back, and then I spent that round on top. And in the third round, I was blessed to finish by TKO from Mount. So I was thankful for that outcome. It was a beautiful fight and a blessing to get a win against a stud wrestler by TKO.
Matt, I think you, above all, maybe all the other fighters I've ever seen, have the best ability to deal with adversity within a fight. I mean, I've seen several instances where, like, you lose a round or two or maybe even three, and it seems like you don't blink at all, and you still have complete faith in your ability to finish, and you do time and time again. Where does that resolve and strength come from?
Well, my cardio's been really blessed. I always work really hard on it, and I know hard work gives me as good a chance at winning as possible. So if I lose a round, usually I'm not tired. And with Jake Rochalt, it was kind of like a rope-a-dope. He was expending a lot of energy trying to finish me on the ground, except it was on the ground, so I guess we'll call it a ground-a-dope. And after the round, he was tired. So because I give up a round, doesn't mean to count me out in the fight.
Yeah. Now, Matt, I got to ask you, what does MMA mean to you in your life? Where do you place MMA? Obviously, your career, it's what you do for a living, but what does MMA mean to you?
Well, MMA is about the journey to evolve mentally and spiritually and physically as a martial artist, and that's how martial arts grows the most. I mean, since the ancient samurai days, styles would compete against each other, and they would see what's working the best, and that it's great to have that back this day and age, to have the top fighters and well-rounded martial artists competing against each other and evolving. And I think it's in our nature. I mean, like if you watch the animals, there's one alpha male hippo that's like the champion of the water hole that all the other ones look up to, and eventually another stud hippo comes up and is able to beat that one when it gets old, and all of them look up to him, and he's the champion of the water hole. And so we're all born into a great story, and we all need a good challenge to keep life exciting. So I'm thankful to compete against such great athletes and be blessed with some great wins against great challenges like Talis Latis and Jake Rojalt and a whole bunch of great fighters.
Matt, how'd you get started in the sport? What led you to MMA? Was it that want, just to, to be in there and be that, that alpha male kind of, so to speak?
Yeah, that was a big part of it. I went back and forth between wanting to be a martial artist and a rock star when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be a tough guy, hero, like the comic books we read when we're kids, and a good martial artist, like the Bruce Lee movies we'd watch before UFC came out. And then when UFC, the first one, came out and all the styles competed against each other, Hoist Gracie submitted way bigger guys, and I saved up the money working odd jobs to go train with him and get started in jiu-jitsu. And then MMA went underground for a while, and I traveled around, went to Seattle to advance in classical guitar and get in a band. And then I heard about it making a comeback. My friend TJ got me back into rolling because we'd have a beer or two and wrestle, and I'd catch him in some arm bars or triangles, and decided I think I want to try to become a professional fighter. And my parents live fairly close to Team Quest, so I was at Northwest Fighting Arts a while in Oregon, and then I got signed up at Team Quest, and that's been my journey as a martial artist.
Yeah. Now, what about leaving Team Quest? Can you talk about that situation and what happened there?
Well, I'm a big fan of Matt Lindland and Chael Sonnen. They're all great people, great fighters. But I think the artists and athletes that are the really successful ones are the ones that don't get stuck to the same routine and keep traveling around, picking up different information and working with different people. So I'm really enjoying hanging out in Hollywood, working with Eddie Bravo and Chris Riley and everyone. And I love Hollywood because there's so much creative energy here. It's a really artistic vibe. It's where they write great movies that inspire people. And there's interesting characters like Eddie Bravo and Joe Rogan. And so I've been having a blast here. And like a good example of that is Neil Peart, from Rush, who's the drummer that all the drummers idolize. And he decided to take a few years off and travel around and walk the earth and work with different jazz drummers and African drummers, and stepped everything up to a whole new level when he was already the best, probably. So if someone who's the best at what they do still needs to travel around and soak up new information and learn new things, then I really do.
Matt, music seems like it's still a pretty big part of your life. What's your involvement with music right now?
Well, I'm still working on my classical guitar and creative writing about the interconnectedness of art and science and spirituality. And in the past, a lot of the spiritual people and churches have been against science, but if you're a big fan of God, you're a big fan of science and all the great things out there for us to discover and God's creativity. And music's all interconnected to that too, and flowing one chord or rhythm to the next, or one tempo or combo to the next at stand-up, or the rhythm of flowing on submissions and jiu-jitsu.
Matt, you talk about there walking the earth. Is that something, going around the world, getting different experiences in, whether it's just in martial arts or life, is that something you want to do in the future?
Absolutely. That's my big dream. I'd like to do well enough to have enough money to donate to the orphans and dolphins preservation and good things, and be able to travel around and go surfing with BJ Penn and learn some new jiu-jitsu and hang with Eddie Bravo. And it'd be cool to be blessed enough to have some land near Hollywood where I can train here, and maybe some land in Seattle in my hometown, and to hang out with Maury Smith and learn some stand-up. And maybe, if it's not too much to ask, a place in Hilo, Hawaii to go surfing with BJ Penn and see all the interesting dolphins and wildlife there. And someday, before I'm ready to kick the bucket in this life, I'd like to swim with the river dolphins in the Amazon River.
Oh, wow. That would be quite
so there's so many great things to experience.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, I'm not I'm more of an English person, a writer. Physics is not natural to me. Where does your love for quantum physics come from?
Well, it's a beautiful universe and a beautiful multiverse, and God's an awesome artist, so it's great to learn about all the great spirits, intelligence, and creativity, and the interconnectedness and synchronicity of it all. Like in the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, the particles have no actual localization and are all interconnected. You can't measure a particle's position and momentum simultaneously because they're all connected by a vast sea of energy, of empty space, of potentiality, which we got this dark energy of empty space that keeps the galaxies blowing apart and not giving in to gravity's pull. And it could be Albert Einstein's cosmological constant equation, which he thought was his biggest blunder because it made him think the universe was static. And then Edwin Hubble discovered it's expanding, and they named the Hubble telescope after him. So there's so much great things to discover about the beauty of our universe, and it's really inspiring to any artist, I believe. And
now, you always mention the multiverse, and that's kind of something that is a little bit over my head. In simple terms, could you explain what the multiverse is to me? Because I literally that is way over my head.
Well, there's limitless possibilities and equations with the multiverse, and you got the fourth dimension of time, and then the fifth dimension of other timelines we could have branched off to in parallel universes. Like if I decided to go into a cafe or not, how that would have changed my timeline. In the sixth dimension are ends too, how the timelines change, like a butterfly effect per se. And then the seventh dimension is all the possible scenarios that could have happened from the Big Bang, beginning of our universe and the space-time fabric. And the eighth dimension is like other universes where time and the speed of light and gravity could act different than this universe, or there could be more antimatter than matter. We wouldn't exist there. It'd be totally different than our Big Bang universe. The ninth dimension is all the possible ends to those changes. And then the 10th dimension is the strings that vibrate the different subatomic particles, the same way guitar strings vibrate different sound frequencies. Mm-hmm. And stretching one of the strings would change a particle, like an electron, into a proton, the same way stretching a guitar string would change its vibrational frequency. And then the 11th dimension is a zero-dimensional point-like theoretical particle called a zero brane. Mm-hmm. And that's the 11 dimensions of string theory and M theory, multiverse theory. So it's like we're in this expanding bubble amidst a sea of infinite other expanding bubbles and God's limitless creativity.
Yeah. This is Bloody Elbow Radio, presented by Bad Boy here on BloodyElbow.com. Matt Bishop and Forrest Lynn, joined by Shark Fight's headliner Matt Horwich, here on the show today. Now, Matt, with this multiverse and making different decisions and how that affects your life, how do you reconcile that with